Hello, this is Carol again with part two processing. We're processing an LRGB image, and in part one, I processed the luminance. And so this is part two, the RGB, and I've already registered the RGB image to the luminance. As you can see in this title, I did it in Registar, so it's got Reg because it was registered, and CP because I used the crop pad, which exactly makes the images fit on top of each other. I also, when I do RGB and I combine them, I also register the red, green and blue to each other because quite often if I do it without using the crop pad, there's always a little bit of red or green or blue sticking out the side, ever so slightly, but I can never get them absolutely perfect unless I use that crop pad. Anyway, the first thing that I do is image adjust levels, and I'm going to bring the grey slider in. Had the histogram been a bit further over that way, I'd have brought the black slider in a bit as well. The second thing that I normally do, I've found over the years that stretching the image washes the colour out of the stars. So the next thing I'm going to do is try and increase the colour a bit in the stars. I did mention on the last tutorial that there's a bit of rotation in the images, but I don't know whether this was because I took the images on different equipment and they weren't quite different scopes, different cameras, they weren't quite lined up with each other, or whether it's because I've just dug out some old data that was already rotated and then it's rotated for a second time. But anyway, so I'm going to go into image adjust match color, and this is to try and put some of the color back in the stars, and I'm going to increase the color intensity. Now if I go all the way over, you'll see there's quite a bit of color gone back into the stars. I'm not sure if that's going to be a bit too heavy-handed first round, so I'm going to do it to about 3/4 of the amount and click OK. So you can see there's a bit of colour in the stars now. So the second thing I'm going to do is curves, and similar to what I did in the luminance, I'm going to click on the dark part of the sky, and I'm going to click, and I'm pressing Alt-Gr at the same time on a white bit to fix. I'm not getting that in the right place. It was right up here, so ignore those. Okay, so I'm now going to stretch the histogram and stretch the nebula. So you can see the stars have got colour in them and the nebula's stretched a little bit. I'm going to do a second one of those. In fact, I might do a little tiny bit of match colour. You just don't want to stretch all the colour out of those stars with curves. Image adjust curves. This time I'm going to bring the black slider in a little bit here. I'm going to set the black point, which is up there, and I'm going to set the white point, which is right up. No, done it again. It's right up the top, right up there, and stretch the image. So we've now got a stretched image. You don't need to do all the high pass filter and everything that I did on the other one, because that's already done in the luminance. And basically most of your detail is going to come from the luminance image, and the RGB is more really for the color. So I'm going to try one more stretch and see what I can get out of this. Image adjust curves, and I'm just going to stretch it without anchoring anything this time, just to see what happens. So I think we do need to anchor that white point down. Let's do that. White point and stretch. Now you can see now that the background's a bit blue, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to balance the colours. We're going to open the histogram, and you can see that the blue's over to one side a little bit. So I'm going to do image adjust levels, and I'm going to select the green slider, and I'm going to move that right underneath the red, and I'm going to select the blue and do the same with that. I never know which way to take it. So that's much more balanced, and as you can see the sky is black and not blue now. So let's get rid of that. So that's pretty much as far as I'm going to go on the RGB at this stage, and I'm going to save that, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough time because I only get 10 minutes on this free software to add the luminance. Let's save that, and I'll put it in my process one, so I'm just going to call that RGB and save that. I've only got 3.5 minutes, so I'll start a new tutorial for the LRGB. Thank you.